You know that one person at the office, right? The one who practically lives at their desk, mainlines coffee all weekend, has a resume absolutely packed with acronyms, and yet somehow they're the one who always gets passed over for the big promotion. It's wild. Why on earth does that happen? Well, welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to dig into the hard data and the deep psychology behind what actually drives career advancement, and, just as importantly, what keeps us fulfilled once we get there. This is all pulled directly from foundational research in organizational behavior. So here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with the hard work myth, then explore the incredible power of sponsorship. After that, we'll rethink workplace motivation, dive into the autonomy continuum, and wrap up with the 3 vital needs for lasting success. We are going on a journey from the mechanics of getting promoted to the deep psychology of staying engaged. Let's get right into it.
Okay, Section 1, the hard work myth. Does putting your head down and grinding out the hours actually equate to success? Take a second to really think about this for yourself. When you look up the corporate ladder at the folks sitting in the executive suites, what do you honestly believe propelled them up there? Was it their fancy education? Just their years on the job? Or is there some kind of invisible engine driving their ascent? Back in 1999, a landmark study by Wayne, Leiden, Kramer, and Graff set out to answer exactly that by comparing 2 totally different realities. First up is the traditional belief, which they called the contest mobility system. This is the idea that success is a fair race won by sheer human capital, your degrees, your experience, and the raw number of grueling hours you work. But guess what? The researchers found much stronger support for the sponsored mobility system. In this reality, career success isn't just about what you know, it's about who supports you. It's driven by mentoring, supervisor support, and actually being visible to senior leadership. And here is where it gets crazy. The data revealed a massive paradox. You'd think that sheer loyalty to a company guarantees you'll move up, right? Actually, no. The researchers found that organizational tenure was negatively associated with salary growth and promotability. Basically, just staying at a company forever without that crucial sponsorship, that is a fast track to a career plateau, not a promotion. Even the sheer number of hours worked showed no significant effect on actual career success. Wild, right? So if tenure and logging endless hours aren't the magic ticket, what is? That brings us to Section 2, the power of sponsorship. Who supports you absolutely shapes your trajectory. The research really zeroes in on this concept called leader-member exchange, or LMX. Basically, this represents the quality of the relationship between a supervisor and an employee. And look, we're not just talking about chatting about the game at the water cooler. We are talking about a dynamic built on high trust, active support, and deliberate visibility. According to the data, a high-quality leader-member exchange is literally the most powerful predictor of actual career success, even when you control for an employee's education and ambition. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how these factors play out in the real world. Take a close look at this grid. Notice how organizational tenure actually has a negative correlation with both salary progression and career satisfaction. Then look at having a high desire for mobility, raw ambition. That correlates positively with salary progression, sure, but negatively with career satisfaction. That's likely because highly ambitious people just get super frustrated waiting around for their big break. But check out LMX right there at the bottom. It is the only factor positively correlated with both your financial success and your personal career satisfaction. It's the holy grail. So the crucial point is how this sponsorship is actually put into action, because it isn't passive. Effective supervisors sponsor their teams through really concrete actions. They give you challenging assignments that actually stretch your skills. They intentionally push you into the spotlight with senior leaders. They offer real coaching, build deep trust, and directly advocate for your advancement behind closed doors. Bottom line, if you want to advance, cultivating the specific type of relationship is just as absolutely crucial as tackling your daily task list. All right, but let's say you do it. You get the promotion, you get the big salary bump. Are you guaranteed to be happy and driven forever? That leads us to Section 3, rethinking workplace motivation and looking way beyond the external rewards. To understand why getting a promotion can sometimes actually kill our motivation, we have to look at the work of Gagne and Deci from 2005 on self-determination theory, or SDT. Now, SDT is this comprehensive framework that looks at the psychological quality of motivation. It distinguishes between intrinsic motivation, doing a task simply because you love doing it, and extrinsic motivation, doing it just to snag a bonus or get a new title. This is a massive departure from how businesses usually treat us. The traditional view treats motivation like a single measurable bucket. You're either highly motivated or you aren't. and management just tries to fill up your motivation bucket with cash or fear. But the SDT view argues differently. It argues that motivation varies in kind. It distinguishes between autonomous motivation, where you act with a true sense of choice, and controlled motivation, where you feel pressured or coerced by outside forces. Quality matters just as much as quantity. This distinction is the total foundation of our fourth section, the autonomy continuum. Let's look at how we transform those outside pressures into deep inner drive. Now, what's really interesting here is this visual spectrum. This diagram maps out the self-determination continuum. On the far left, you've got A motivation, literally zero intention to do anything. On the far right is pure intrinsic motivation, doing a task purely for the joy of it. But let's be real, most of our jobs aren't purely joyful 100% of the time, right? That middle section shows extrinsic motivation, but notice how it breaks down. It moves from external regulation through introjected and identified regulation all the way to integrated regulation. It's basically a journey of making an outside demand start to feel like an inside choice. Let's put some real-world workplace examples to those steps. External regulation is the classic. I only work when the boss is actually watching me. You are completely controlled by the carrot or the stick. Step 2, interjected regulation, is a bit deeper, but it's still controlled. I work to feel worthy or just to avoid feeling guilty. You're basically pressuring yourself. But true integration, that happens at step 3. Identified and integrated regulation means you say, look, I do this unglamorous work because it fully aligns with my personal goals and my professional identity. You have totally internalized the value of the work. So, how do we get there? Let's move to our final section, the 3 needs for success, and see exactly what fuels that deeply autonomous state. Self-determination theory postulates that there are 3 basic, innate psychological needs that act as the ultimate fuel for optimal human functioning. And listen, these are not just nice-to-haves. They are universal necessities. First up is autonomy, the freedom to act with a sense of choice. Second is competence, the need to feel incredibly effective and capable in your environment. And third is relatedness, that deep human need to feel connected to and supported by others. If an organization crushes any of these 3 needs, motivation and well-being are inevitably going to collapse. And the research highlights that the social context around you is absolutely everything. Managers have to provide what is called autonomy support. This means instead of just barking orders to finish a mind-numbing spreadsheet, a truly great leader explains why that spreadsheet actually matters to the team. They acknowledge your perspective and they give you some real choice in how the task gets done. That specific, supportive environment is what allows a person to shift from mere begrudging compliance to true integrated motivation. Which brings us to the ultimate question you have to ask yourself about your own career trajectory based on all this data. Are you just putting your head down, logging long hours, and desperately hoping someone notices? Or are you actively building the high-trust relationships that provide real sponsorship while deliberately seeking out the autonomy, competence, and relatedness you need to stay genuinely fulfilled? The science is incredibly clear on which path actually works. Definitely something to chew on as you plan your next big career move.